Listen, you weren't created by accident. You weren't thrown into this life to just figure it out on your own. There is a design, there is an intention, there is a purpose. But purpose is not a random discovery. It's a revelation that unfolds when you allow your steps to be ordered, not by pressure, not by culture, but by divine guidance. See, we live in a time where we are taught that we have to hustle, grind, push, make it happen. But when you are building a life on purpose, it's not about pushing. It's about positioning your heart, your mind, and your will to trust that every step, even the ones that don't make sense, are building something bigger than what you can see right now. Discomfort does not mean you're lost. It often means you're being moved out of what's comfortable, moved out of what's familiar. Sometimes God will allow the ground under you to shake, not because he's punishing you, but because he's transitioning you. Your current location, emotionally, spiritually, professionally, is not the final chapter of your story. It's just a paragraph. And if you settle too soon, you miss the masterpiece being written in the margins of your faith. Faith is not about having all the answers before you move. Faith is about hearing a whisper in your spirit that says, go. And even when your knees are trembling, your voice is shaking, your doubts are screaming, you still take the step. Because here's the truth: purpose demands preparation, and preparation demands patience. The process that you're in right now, the confusing seasons, the lonely nights, the doors that shut in your face, it's not wasted. It's carving out the character necessary to carry the calling that has your name on it. You are not running out of time. You are not too broken. You are exactly where you need to be for this moment. But your next step is crucial. Let your ambition be led by alignment, not anxiety. Let your decisions be fueled by discernment, not desperation. Because when your steps are ordered, really ordered, you won't have to force open what God has already unlocked. You'll walk into it with confidence, with grace, with authority. You are a vessel of destiny. You are a carrier of light. And if you trust the one who designed you, he will not just show you your purpose. He will equip you to live it boldly, step boldly. Your purpose is waiting. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is not a lucky guess or a random achievement. Purpose is the very reason you were created. A divine assignment carefully woven into your being long before you ever took your first breath. Yet even though purpose is planted within you, it does not fully bloom just because you exist. It is revealed step by step, decision by decision, and moment by moment through the daily practice of obedience. Obedience is not a word that feels glamorous. It does not always look heroic on the outside. Sometimes obedience looks like showing up when you would rather stay hidden. Sometimes obedience sounds like silence when your pride wants to scream. It feels like sacrifice, like surrender, like letting go of the image you carefully crafted for yourself in order to embrace the identity God has written for you. When you live a life surrendered to obedience, you align yourself with a plan far greater than anything you could draft on your own. You stop striving to create a purpose, and you start receiving the purpose that was already established for you. Too many people believe that they must hustle their way into significance, but true significance is found when you align your steps with the one who already knows the way. It is not found in competition. It is cultivated in obedience. The truth is, obedience often leads you through paths you would not have chosen for yourself. It may lead you through seasons of isolation, where it feels like everyone else is accelerating and you are standing still. It may walk you into assignments that seem too small, too quiet, too hidden to matter. But what you do not see is that every act of obedience is a seed planted deep in the soil of your character, a seed watered by faith, a seed that in due time will produce a harvest that reveals the magnitude of your calling. Obedience is hard because it requires trust without always having the evidence. It demands that you believe in the unseen, that you honor the process even when you do not understand the full picture. Every time you choose obedience over convenience, you are choosing to trust that the designer of your destiny knows exactly where he is taking you. Even when you cannot see it, he is connecting the dots, orchestrating divine encounters and positioning you for influence that human effort alone could never achieve. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come not through force, but through faithful obedience. It is not always about doing more. It is about doing what you have been asked to do, even when it seems insignificant. It is answering the call to forgive when you would rather hold a grudge. It is stepping out in faith to start the business, write the book, finish the degree, even when fear tells you it will not work. It is serving in places where no one claps, loving people who may never say thank you, and giving when it would be easier to withhold. The revelation of purpose is progressive. It unfolds as you move. You cannot discover the fullness of your purpose while standing still in fear or waiting for a perfect plan. As you obey, clarity comes. As you trust, doors open. As you move forward, provision is released. Obedience positions you to receive insights, opportunities, and revelations that were hidden until you had the courage to take the first step. When you understand that purpose is revealed through obedience, you stop measuring your progress by the standards of the world. You stop looking for validation from crowds and start seeking confirmation from within. You realize that the journey of obedience is just as important as the destination of purpose. Every small yes matters. Every quiet act of faith matters. Nothing is wasted when you are walking in obedience. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be when you commit to a life of obedience. The world may not always understand the pace you are moving, but heaven celebrates every step you take. Your purpose is unfolding right now, even in the places that feel uncertain. Keep obeying, keep trusting, keep moving. The revelation of your purpose is closer than you think. Discomfort is often a sign you are being redirected, not rejected. Your current location is not your final destination. Into one continuous motivational piece, around 700 words without using any headings as you asked. Here's the full expansion. Discomfort is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are broken or that you have failed. Discomfort is often the evidence that you are being shifted, stretched, and redirected towards something greater than what you have been settling for. When you encounter seasons of discomfort, it can be tempting to internalize the struggle and believe that you are being rejected by life, by opportunities, or even by God. But what if the closed door was not rejection? What if it was protection? What if it was a divine rerouting to ensure you would arrive at a destiny that fully matches your potential? We often pray for purpose, but resist the process that delivers us to it. We pray for growth, but reject the seasons that require pruning. We ask for clarity, but panic when the familiar is stripped away. Discomfort is the sacred tension between where you are and where you are called to be. It is the internal knowing that while what you see might look good, it is not all that there is. Discomfort stirs you. It agitates you. It awakens you to the reality that settling will cost you more than stretching ever will. If everything stayed easy, predictable, and comfortable, you would never discover what you are truly capable of. You would never tap into the hidden strength, wisdom, or resilience that was placed inside of you for moments exactly like this. Discomfort, though painful, is a signal that you are growing. It is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of alignment. It is the whisper of destiny reminding you that you were not created to be confined by your circumstances, but called to transform them. At the same time, it is critical to understand that your current location is not your final destination. Where you are right now, the job you are working, the environment you are living in, the internal battles you are facing is not the sum total of who you are becoming. It is easy to look at your present circumstances and assume that they define your future. But the truth is, every season, every test, every challenge is a stepping stone toward the life you are being prepared to walk in. You are in a chapter, not the entire book. And the mistake many people make is believing that because this chapter is uncomfortable, unglamorous, or unseen, it must be the end. But endings in God's story are often just disguised beginnings. What looks like stagnation may actually be preparation. What feels like delay may actually be divine development. If you only judge your life by the current season, you will rob yourself of the vision needed to endure to the next. Purpose requires you to believe in more than what your eyes can see. It requires you to know deep within your spirit that there is more ahead than there is behind. It requires you to trust that even if this season is painful, it is not pointless. Growth is happening beneath the surface, in the unseen places of your character, your mind, and your heart. And that growth is critical for where you are going next. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are in transition. Transition can be messy. It can be lonely. It can feel like wandering through a wilderness without a clear map. But every step, even the steps that feel backward, are leading you toward a place of greater purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. You must refuse to allow your present reality to dictate your future potential. Keep moving, keep believing, keep trusting that what you are carrying is worth the labor it takes to birth it. Your story is not over. Your journey is not complete. The discomfort is temporary, but the destiny is eternal. You have not been rejected. You have been redirected. And soon you will look back and realize that everything that felt like a detour was really part of a divine route designed perfectly for you. Your current location is just a snapshot. It is not the full picture. Stay faithful. Stay focused. Greater is still ahead of you. Faith requires movement. Even when clarity is missing, the journey shapes the character necessary for the calling. Divine alignment always produces greater impact than human striving into one smooth, motivational text around 700 words without headings. just as you asked. Here's the expanded version. Faith is not about waiting until every detail is clear, every risk is removed, and every question is answered. Faith demands movement, even when your vision is blurred by uncertainty. Faith is the courage to take one step when you cannot see the whole staircase. It is the choice to move forward when your mind is filled with doubts, when your emotions are pulling you backward, and when your fears are screaming that it's safer to stay where you are. True faith acts before the path is obvious, trusting that clarity will come with obedience, not before it. Waiting for complete certainty before you move is not faith, it's control, and control is the enemy of destiny. You cannot control every outcome and still expect to experience the full power of a life ordered by divine purpose. Faith requires that you step out even if you are trembling, even if you are questioning, even if you are unsure. Movement opens the door to miracles. Movement activates the unseen forces that were waiting for you to trust enough to act. It is not about having all the answers. It's about having enough belief to say, even if I can't see it yet, I know it's worth moving toward. But movement alone is not enough. The journey matters just as much as the destination. Every step you take shapes the character necessary to sustain the calling placed on your life. The calling is heavy. The assignment is weighty. And if you arrive at your destination without the strength, humility, wisdom, and resilience developed through the journey, you will not be able to hold what you were created to carry. The struggles you are facing right now are not signs that you are off course. They are signs that you are being forged, refined, and prepared. Character is not formed in the spotlight. It is formed in the shadows. It is built in the private battles you fight when no one else sees. It is developed in the quiet moments when you have the choice to compromise or to stand in integrity. Your journey is equipping you with more than skills. It is equipping you with a spirit that can endure seasons of pressure without collapsing under the weight. It is teaching you patience when you would rather have speed. It is teaching you discernment when you would rather have simplicity. It is teaching you dependency on God when you would rather rely on your own strength. Understand that no shortcut can substitute for the shaping of your soul. There are lessons that cannot be taught in comfort. They must be lived, tested, and proven through experience. And every lesson, even the painful ones, is serving a higher purpose to get you ready for what you asked for when you prayed for purpose, influence, and impact. It's easy to believe that human effort alone will guarantee success. But striving without divine alignment only produces exhaustion, not elevation. You can spend years pushing, grinding, forcing outcomes only to realize that without the breath of God on it, all your work is building something shallow and unsustainable. Divine alignment changes everything. When you are aligned with your purpose, you are no longer striving out of fear, insecurity, or competition. You are moving with a flow that only obedience can unlock. Alignment doesn't mean life will be easy, but it does mean that your efforts will be effective. You won't have to force open doors that were never meant for you. The right opportunities, the right relationships, the right resources will find you at the right time when you are walking in the path designed for you. You will work hard, but your hard work will be blessed, not burdened. You will stretch, but you will not snap under pressure because you are being fueled by grace, not just grit. When you move by faith, when you allow the journey to shape you, and when you trust in divine alignment instead of human striving, you step into a level of impact and fulfillment that hustle alone can never achieve. You realize that you were never meant to force your way into your destiny. You were meant to walk into it one obedient step at a time. Purpose is not random. It's revealed through obedience. Discomfort is often a sign you are being redirected, not rejected. Your current location is not your final destination. Faith requires movement. Even when clarity is missing, you were not created randomly. There's a reason your heartbeat echoes through time in this exact generation, in this exact season. There is a divine assignment attached to your life. But purpose is not something you stumble into. It's something that's revealed as you walk in obedience. You don't find purpose by accident. You uncover it step by step through surrender, through sacrifice, through saying yes, even when you don't have all the details. Obedience is the door through which destiny flows. It's not always glamorous. In fact, it rarely is, but it's always necessary because obedience puts you in position. Obedience places your feet where God has already arranged provision, favor, and preparation. The mistake many people make is waiting for everything to make sense before they move. They delay, overthink, and hesitate, believing clarity must come before commitment. But that's not how purpose works. Purpose is revealed on the path, not in the pause. Faith doesn't wait for confirmation before it steps. Faith moves in spite of the uncertainty. Faith whispers, go, even when your mind screams, What if? It dares you to believe that something beautiful could be waiting on the other side of your obedience. And if you can summon just enough faith to take one step, not 10, just one, that step unlocks momentum, alignment, and supernatural clarity you never could have manufactured by logic alone. And yet, here's what we often don't talk about enough: purpose doesn't always feel good. In fact, discomfort is often the first sign that you're being called higher. That shaking in your spirit, that unrest in your routine, that tension in your relationships or your environment, that's not rejection, that's redirection. It's not a curse, it's a calling. Something inside you is waking up to the truth that you were made for more. And that awareness doesn't come quietly. It comes with the agitation of potential. You can either stay in the comfort of what's familiar, or you can step into the discomfort of becoming. But you can't have both. And what feels like disruption is often divine intervention pulling you out of what's good so you can walk into what's God. Sometimes the places where you feel stuck are actually the very places you've been assigned to outgrow. That's why your spirit is rest. That's why you can't settle. That's why the job, the environment, the version of you that used to fit doesn't anymore. And you might be tempted to believe that where you are now is the whole story, but your current location is not your final destination. This moment is a chapter, not the conclusion. It's part of the process, not the end of the plan. Don't confuse the hallway for the room. Just because the scenery looks stagnant doesn't mean your purpose has paused. Some of your most transformational development is happening in the unseen places, in the stretching, in the waiting, in the tension of the in-between. What you're experiencing now is not the full picture. It's preparation. It's the molding of your character to match the magnitude of your calling. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's intentional. Nothing is wasted when you walk in obedience. No season, no silence, no setback. Everything is being used to shape you into someone who can carry the weight of the destiny you've been praying for. God won't give you what you're not yet ready to sustain. So when the season feels longer than you expected, trust that it's not a delay, it's a design. And through it all, keep moving, even if your steps feel small, even if the path ahead is unclear, even if all you have is a whisper telling you there's more. That whisper is enough. That nudge is proof. Don't wait for everything to make sense. Obedience doesn't need perfect understanding. It just needs willingness. Step by step, obedience by obedience, the plan unfolds. You don't need to see the whole map to start the journey. Just follow the voice that called you in the first place. Your purpose is waiting on the other side of your yes. The journey shapes the character necessary for the calling. Divine alignment always produces greater impact than human striving. Purpose is not random. It's revealed through obedience. Faith requires movement. Even when clarity is missing, your current location is not your final destination. There's something powerful about understanding that your calling is bigger than your current circumstances. You might feel hidden, overlooked, or even stuck, but don't let your location define your identity. Where you are is not who you are, and it is certainly not all that you're becoming. The journey you're on is not punishment, it's preparation. Every delay, every detour, every difficult day is shaping the kind of character required to carry the weight of your destiny. You don't just arrive in purpose fully formed, you grow into it. You're being refined by the journey, not destroyed by it. Purpose isn't just about where you're going. It's about who you must become to sustain what you've been called to do. That's why some seasons feel like pressure. That's why it hurts when the pruning happens, because you prayed for elevation, but God is preparing your foundation. You ask for more, and more requires maturity. Without the shaping, the spotlight would crush you. Without the fire, the gift would stay shallow. The journey is teaching you how to handle what you haven't yet seen. It's developing the integrity, the discipline, and the humility required to stand in your assignment without losing your soul. And when you learn to value the process, you begin to understand the difference between striving and alignment. You don't have to hustle your way into rooms that were never meant for you. Divine alignment means that your steps are guided when you move in sync with the season and pace God has for you. There's a grace that rests on everything you do. You'll still work hard, yes, but your work won't feel like it's draining you. It will be sustained by peace, because when it's divine, it doesn't have to be forced. You don't have to manipulate, compete, or compromise. The right doors will open and the wrong ones will close, not as punishment, but as protection. You must understand a purpose is not random. It's not a lucky break or something reserved for the elite few. It is specific, intentional, and personal. You were created on purpose for a purpose. That deep restlessness you feel, that aching for meaning, that's not your imagination. That's divine calling stirring in your soul. But the only way to truly discover it is through obedience, not partial obedience, not convenient obedience, Real obedience, the kind that says yes when it's inconvenient, when it costs something, when it doesn't make sense. Purpose is revealed as you obey, not before. You cannot bypass surrender and still expect clarity. Many are waiting for God to show the whole blueprint before they take one step. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith isn't about walking confidently because the path is clear. It's about walking even when it's not. It's about taking one obedient step when all you have is a whisper and a vision that doesn't yet make sense to anyone else. Faith is movement in the absence of full understanding. Faith trusts that even if you don't know all the hows, you know the who that sent you, and that is enough. The illusion of control will rob you of progress. You're not going to feel ready. You're not going to have every answer, but readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You decide to move forward anyway, trusting that provision is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting until fear leaves. Fear doesn't go away, but it loses power when you choose to move anyway. Your yes activates what heaven already has in place for you. So don't let where you are convince you that this is all there is. This is a season, not a sentence. Your current job, your current struggle, your current silence, none of it is the final word. It's a setup. It's soul. Something is growing underneath the surface. And if you stay faithful in this place, you will see the fruit in due season. Don't despise the small beginning. Don't resent the slow climb. You are being positioned. You are being strengthened. You are not behind. You are becoming. Certainly, here is a smooth 700-word motivational expansion of 6 keynotes, flowing as a single unified piece without any headings, just as you've requested. The expanded keynotes include purpose is not random. It's revealed through obedience. Discomfort is often a sign you are being redirected, not rejected. Your current location is not your final destination. Faith requires movement. Even when clarity is missing, the journey shapes the character necessary for the calling. Divine alignment always produces greater impact than human striving. There's a reason your heart keeps pulling you towards something greater, something deeper, something more meaningful. That pull is not random. It's not an accident or coincidence. It's divine. You were created with purpose for purpose. You were formed with intention. But that purpose is not always obvious at first. It isn't revealed through convenience or comfort. It is uncovered through obedience. Each time you say yes when it's difficult, each time you trust when it's unclear, you are stepping closer to the life you were designed to live. Obedience is the language of destiny. It's not about understanding every detail. It's about trusting the one who sees beyond what you can. There are moments on this journey where obedience won't feel like a reward. It will feel like disruption. When the ground beneath you starts to shift and what used to feel secure now feels uncertain, it doesn't mean you've been rejected. It often means you are being redirected. When comfort is stripped away, when relationships fade, when doors close without warning, it's not always an attack. Sometimes it's alignment. Sometimes it's heaven intervening to reroute you back onto the path of your calling. Discomfort is not the absence of God. It is often the evidence of his hand guiding you forward. But that forward movement doesn't always look grand. Sometimes it looks like a hallway with no end in sight. Sometimes it looks like a wilderness. And it's easy in those places to believe that where you are now is where you'll always be. But your current location is not your final destination. What you see today is not all that there is. This chapter isn't the full book. You're passing through something that is building you for what's coming next. Just because you're not where you want to be doesn't mean you're not on your way. Don't confuse transition with conclusion. You're not stuck. You're being developed. In the midst of this development, clarity may be scarce. That's where faith becomes essential. Faith doesn't wait for the map before it moves. It takes the first step with nothing but a whisper in its soul. Faith says, I don't know how, but I know who. Faith moves even when the plan is hidden, even when the outcome is uncertain, because true faith isn't about being fearless. It's about being faithful. It's not the absence of doubt. It's the refusal to let doubt make your decisions. Faith walks forward with shaky hands and a determined heart. It trusts that the next step will appear after this one is taken, and every step matters. Because while you are focused on the destination, God is focused on your transformation. The journey you are on is shaping something in you that success alone cannot produce. It's in the long nights, the hard lessons, the silent seasons that your character is being refined. The calling is heavy, and you must be strong enough to carry it. But strength doesn't just come from talent. It comes from trial. It comes from persistence, from stretching, from the times you wanted to quit but didn't. You are being prepared in the unseen so that when you're seen, you can sustain it. The process is not punishment, it's protection. You'll begin to see that striving can't replace alignment. You can push and force and exhaust yourself trying to create impact in your own strength, but if it's not aligned with divine timing, it won't last. Striving may build fast, but it builds shallow. Alignment builds deeply. When you walk in divine alignment, you don't have to chase what's meant for you. It finds you. What you build through obedience and trust will carry weight. It will have legacy because it wasn't built on insecurity, competition, or fear. It was built on the solid ground of purpose. Alignment doesn't mean ease, but it does mean effectiveness. So if you're waiting, wondering, or walking through uncertainty, keep moving, stay obedient. Honor the discomfort, trust the journey. There is more ahead than what you can see, and every step of faith is drawing you closer to what you were created for.